Unfiltered Podcast 24. Today we have Dr. VG Nayak with us. Yes, my dear friends, a lot of you recommended that we should bring the legend of the industry and the Lifetime Achievement Winner 2024 awarded by Eminence Business Media as well. Not that we need to know much about him because I think everybody knows him very well. He has literally handpicked most of the literati of the pharma world as well. But today we will not talk about his professional life. We will try to know more about him in person as well. How are you doing today, Dr. Nayak?
I'm very excited to be with your group today.
Thank you very
and
much.
to share so many thoughts for you. Okay.
And I'm glad that you could make time. I have been tracking to do this podcast with you from a while. And I understand you were traveling and still you made time in your busy schedule. Thank you very much for that.
I have met very passionate people, and one of them is you. So I could, the moment you said we go to meet and talk, I was most eager to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so, Dr. Nayak, I'll tell you the reason that we're doing this podcast is we realized there was a lag whenever we were doing a conference. A lot of people were highlighting several times, why don't you include a topic in your conference about being a good leader in pharma?
Okay.
And that was like, if we are doing 10 conferences a year, in 5 to 6 conferences, we used to get this feedback from most of the people that
Correct.
how to be a good leader, how to go up the ladder,
Yeah.
what kind of mistakes are we doing, how to fix it. And then we realized that in the conferences, maybe we are reaching out to 100 people at a time. But why not to go to a bigger crowd and create
Sure.
this podcast so people can learn from the leaders like you?
Excellent idea.
Right? And they can know you, who you are behind the facade. They think that leaders have to be like even sleeping and thinking about leadership. We want to break that idea and help people understand that they are also human.
That's right.
So if you can tell me more about you, who is, if I have to remove doctor and just say VG Nayak, who is VG Nayak behind the scenes?
Vijay Nayak is a simple person, but very social, very well networked, and the word Nayak means leader. You know, you've seen a Hindi movie called
Yes,
Nayak.
I have.
So
Anil
I thought,
Kapoor.
so I thought maybe if God has given me that name, I had better stick to that and do something in that direction. So right from my college days, I had that instinct of being in the front, leading, taking risks, doing new things, meeting people, enthusing them, encouraging them, motivating them, and so far in last 66 years of my existence, that has turned out to be a good experience for me as well as the people around me.
Okay.
And particularly in the profession of pharmaceuticals, it's been a good journey of learning, sharing, and growing. You know, and I have had great leaders. You are not born leader, but you are influenced by the people you work with.
Absolutely.
Now, I would like to mention a couple of names. You know, one was my professor of chemistry, Dr. R.T. Sani at Ria College. Very, very brilliant in his subject and top of the world in the subject of pharmaceutical analytical chemistry. He was influential in making me the leader of the research group, where about 120 students have got their PhDs so far, and I was influential to choose the projects for most of the students. That was a good experience here. At that stage, you know, I used to manage the lab. Literally, the finances of the lab, the technicalities of the lab, the instrumentation, the discipline of giving the output of research papers, and I think that helped me a lot before I was ready to go to the industry. And the second leader I would say was Dr. Y.K. Hamid. So, like a Paplu, I took my thesis in my hand, and I was applying for companies. You know, first company was Cipla, second was US Vitamins, and third was BASF. I went for the very first interview at Cipla, and I was told, you know, you have to meet Dr. Yusuf Hamid.
Okay.
So I was in the reception sitting there, and I thought some gentleman of who looks like you and me would be meeting me, but then I saw a very fair-looking man and almost a foreigner-looking man coming from his Peugeot 504 car and says, "Who is Dr. Nayak?" So I said, "I'm Vinay." He said, "Come." He took me to his office and took my interview. But from that moment onwards, life turned for me, because here was a working encyclopedia of pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
In front of me. And after that, believe me, for the 20 years that I worked with him, every day was an adventure because I would never face him without homework. What would happen is, on the previous day, he would be reading about 200 journals. And in the morning, there is a marking on each person for marketing, for research, for quality. All the people, their names were marked. So I used to quickly, like a mouse, go to the library, see the journals marked for me, take a photocopy, and sit quietly over a cup of tea and think what I have to answer him. And then only I would enter his cabin at 9:30 after 1 hour. And then it used to be a casual talk, but it wasn't so casual because he would dig into questions.
Right.
And that gave me a habit for, being preemptive, anticipative. And that's where I could answer most of the questions and dig for more questions. And there were challenging things which I would never have dreamt to do in my life. But I had to do that because I was in the middle of a person who said impossible is nothing. So that was the beginning.
Right, right. I guess right mentors are very, very important, right?
Absolutely.
And you got one in your college and then one in your career.
And one after that also was a gentleman who was the drug controller of India. His name was Dr. Venkat Swaralu.
Okay.
Brilliant man, brilliant drug controller, I thought, because his philosophy was to involve the industry in whatever drug rules were made, whatever legislation was done.
Very important.
And I was on the Indian Pharmacopeia Commission. I was on the scientific body of the IPC. I was on the drug controllers panel for discussion on the various topics.
Okay.
Almost 1 or 2 visits in a month to Delhi, and in the environment of great scientists like Dr. Nityanand, who was a Padma Shri. With them, when you talk with them and when you interact with them and rub shoulders with these people, some fragrance does come into you.
You're very
And
humble
that
to say
is
this.
that is I would say that that was something that helped, and helped me to make my own mold my own personality, as you call it. Then there was another gentleman. His name was R.S. Iyer.
Okay.
R.S. Iyer was the vice president for Glaxo, GSK, for Southeast Asia. Very brilliant person. He was one of the main contributors to Indian Pharmacopeia for over 30 years.
Okay.
And absolutely thorough in his subject of quality control. Now, this was the guru who had actually literally taken a wooden this and given me on the knuckles if my English was wrong. That was the teacher. While writing technical documents, I used to get it on my knuckles if I don't pronounce it rightly.
Okay.
But such teachers make a difference. They also develop an attitude towards your profession, and his being at that stature what he was.
Correct.
And I interacted with him for almost 20 years. He was also a great teacher. There was a gentleman called Dr. Punchi from GSK also. He was a person who brought in the early 70s management MBOs, management by objectives.
Okay.
And he used to have a brain teasers for all of us as managers as to how we go to the next level,
Right.
or what we are doing, how is it getting stale, and we need to refresh ourselves. So that kind of a personality also influenced us in the early days.
Right.
And believe me, I started my career at the age of 26, after my PhD immediately. And at the age of 27 in Cipla, I was nominated as the quality control manager, from a trainee chemist to quality control manager.
Wow.
The reason was that Cipla at that time was facing the very first US FDA inspection in 1984, much before Ranbaxy and other companies.
Okay.
So I was trembling there because it was something new for me. But then we had got a gentleman who was the commissioner of FDA in USA, McDermott. Dr. McDermott came down here and went around all the plants of seeing with a sharp eye of what is GMP and how it is to be seen. Now, working with such a person for 7 days is a lifelong learning. He taught all the nuances that were required at that period of time.
Right.
As to how the pharma industry is going to shape up, and the exports to US are going to go up.
Right.
And from there, many things I learned.
Right.
And just to share as a happy thought, at that age of 27, I faced the inspection at 4 locations of Cipla.
Wow. Okay.
And all the 4 plants were inspected simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And we were successful in clearing the very first 84 inspection.
So Cipla has always contributed towards, means they always try to upskill their people, even in the formation years, even now at this very time as well, right? That means
Yes.
this is maybe you would say that that created a very big impact in the start of your career itself, that they are always very progressive and trying to train.
As I said to you, if you have the strong pillars, the house will always remain
Always remain strong.
very strong.
Right.
You know, the people who were there in marketing, Motwani was there, Mr. Dr. Hamid was there. Mr. Hamid, his brother, was in marketing also.
Right.
So all then there was Radhakrishnan in finance and Mr. Amarlullah in finance.
Right.
All these people were strong personalities and very dedicated to the cause. And you could say anything may go under earthquake, but not this management. It was so
Right.
strong.
Right.
And
And for some reason, Cipla has a way of giving the best people to the industry always. That means you look at Ranjana, you look at
Gina.
Geena, you look at Raju Mistry, all these people, somehow they have a way of bringing the best, picking up the best from everywhere and just,
Well, I would say no, they don't pick up the best.
they make them the best.
No, they get the beginners at that level and then bring them up.
Wow.
Just taking from other companies and hybridization, or did not work with Cipla.
Wow.
So, for example, Geena came out of the college, this women's residency college, and she gave the interview when I was the boss there.
Wow.
And she turned out to be the president of the company after 30 years. So all these are success stories which are something worth remembering. Dr. Purandare was there, one of the boys whom I used to teach during PhD. He's still the regulatory affairs vice president in the company.
Okay.
So people have worked their way up through their work.
Hard work,
And
yes.
there's nothing like imitation in Cipla.
Right.
Everything is original and different.
Right.
For example, some examples which no other pharmaceutical company would tell you as an example. There was a strike by marketing people were behaving funny. They were not reporting properly, etc. Company stopped all the marketing 33,500 representatives were stopped one given day and said, we don't need you. And we started what is known as courier marketing. Now, if a call was given by a medical rep, and that was about 80 rupees to 100 rupees a call per day, the courier marketing was 110 or 120 rupees. What was it? They would take a hall in a central city, call 500 doctors,
Right.
and have a theme talk on dermatology, theme talk on asthma, theme talk on bronchitis, and the doctors were given enough information. Experts would talk on the forum, and when they went back home, all the literature about that subject was given to them. That was almost for a period of 1 year to be without marketing team, and that was a great success. And the company's sales did not go down. In fact, in those 2 years, they beat Ranbaxy as the number one in India.
Wow.
So these are the unusual things. Again, another example for you.
This is like, I will train you and make you stronger, but I will not submit to blackmail.
Correct. No, that the company never believed in that.
Very important.
They were very strong in that field. The other thing was, the cultural change also is there. For example, in '83 we started a plant in Patal Ganga, which was it's a little remote type of place, and of course there was an HR officer who did a study about morphology or whatever you say, kind of culture of that town there. They were mostly boys who were agri community. Agri communities are little different than the normal human beings that you approach. They are little rebellious or something. So when we started the plant, in the cubicles where you work, the workers are expected to take a broom and clean off whatever. They said nothing doing. How can we take a broom and clean? Our wives will make us do all horrible things at home. No way. They refused to work and they put down their hands. Then we said, thank you, you're so sweet, we liked you all for your attitude, but now we'll run the factory without workmen. We ran the factory for 1.5 years where the staff was running the machines, the staff was sweeping, staff was carrying the goods from one place to another for 1.5 years.
Right. But this kind of commitment to the company, because they saw what company does for them, right?
This is the Cipla gene.
Wow.
And they continued in that manner, doing things differently, but with a very logical thinking.
Right.
So that was a great fun. Then of course, being in the same poodle for too long was not good. So I thought I'll take better challenges, and at that time there was this company called Lupin,
right,
which was one of the reputed companies also in way of operations. And they approached me that they wanted somebody to lead the group again. And I said, look, I have been here 20 years and my umbilical cord is attached to Cipla. He said, no, we'll teach you how to detach from that. And after 3 months, we'll wait for you for 3 months and then you can join us. At that time, the company wasn't doing well. It was in some losses because they had, I think, probably invested in real estate or something like that. And the company wasn't doing well. So after I joined, they made certain changes. They brought in Citigroup to manage the company's top management. They also got an independent managing director, other than the chairman, to be impartial and to rationally look at growth. And they got in some smart people in marketing, in technical services, in quality. That was one of them was me, and we started putting our heads down and starting something that will take the company up. Again, I must say that within 2 years, the company from losses of 400 crores was in profits of 1200 crores,
Okay.
and that paved the way for the company to grow up. Now, the challenge for working in companies which is different is that you learn to do something which you have never done in your life. For example, I was given the assignment to set up a plant in Goa.
Right.
Now, I have never done that work while in Cipla. I was restricted to quality control, regulatory affairs, R&D, but this was something new. So we took up the challenge. In a span of 8 months, we built a plant in Goa, got it operational, got it inspected by US FDA, registered 40 products for the US, and there it was a shining star, that plant.
Okay.
So this kind of challenges were something that one craves for.
Right.
And then again, we did a lot of work in Russian markets. And of course, one of the things in which I was expert was in the area of inhalation products, in the area of HIV product development, and many of these things. So my knowledge was used in that area also by the company. And I must say that Lupin came into respiratory by about 2006, and they almost took away 25% of the market of the leader, that is Cipla.
Okay.
And these are the little joys, that you collect at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
And tell us more about yourself as well in terms of your hobbies, your likes and dislikes. How do you spend your idle time?
Okay. I was also always a fidgety Joe, not sitting in one place.
Okay.
That you can know from now.
So I bet you like traveling.
I used to travel a lot. Now, my job also made me travel a lot because
Yes.
multi-locational plants were there. For
Right.
example, if I had to go to a plant in Lupin,
Right.
I used to get up at 6 o'clock and take the flight at 6:30. 7:30 I'll be in Indore. From Indore I'll have a cup of tea at the airport, and then next flight to Bhopal was in 20 minutes. Then I'll get down at Bhopal, travel by 50 minutes by roads to reach the factory gate at 10 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah, at 10 o'clock I'll just say hello, hi to the senior management, just share my thoughts, what I'm going to do for the day, and then move around in the plant for the whole day until 6 o'clock. Then I had the flight at 8:30 at the airport. So I would rush at 6 o'clock, go to the airport and come back by 10:30. This
How
was
this was the
this was
routine?
every week.
Oh
This
my
was
God.
every week for 4 years that I worked.
Okay.
And that was the promise to the managing director, that there was lot at stake at that plant at Mandideep. It is a place called
Yes.
Mandideep.
Right.
It was the prime location of Lupin,
Right.
and the majority of the money or income was from that plant.
Okay.
For example, 60 tons of cephalosporin products made in a month, injectable cephalosporins. The Pril factory with the lisinopril and all those other cardiovascular drugs. A lot of money and reputation of the company was at stake there.
Right.
Therefore, the chairman had told me that this is one baby I wanted to be on the go, and not to be failing anywhere. And that was a challenge. Again, different modes you use, and again, there are different cultures also in the company. So, Cipla, hey, इधर आ रे, बात करेंगे रे. That language was a Munna Bhai language, they used to
Yeah.
call it. But when you go into a North Indian company from Madhya Pradesh, that Lupin,
Right.
then say, आप ऐसे क्यों कर रहे हो, ऐसे नहीं करो, मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आएगा. You have to talk very sweetly like this, even if you are scolding somebody. So that was a little cultural change also. I remember my HR man telling me, "Hey Vinay, let's have lunch today." In the first day of my joining Lupin.
Okay.
I said, "Oh, lovely. You call me for lunch. I'll come with my tiffin."
Yeah.
We were eating. There's a guy called Pradeep Pandey, nice guy, and he was the president of HR. He says, "Vinay, two, three things I want to give you a suggestion." I said, "What is it? Tell me." He said, "Number one is that in this company, the culture is this. They're talking about, sweet talk. They are very averse to the Bombay languages." Okay,
Right.
fine. Secondly, he says, you'll have to do a lot of learning about budgets, EBITDAs, and this and all that financial part. Okay, I said I'll learn it from somebody. And the third thing he said is, you were almost a general manager or vice president in Cipla. You come here as executive vice president. That's one level below the top management position. So the personality that you should portray should not be the same as Cipla, he said. So I said, what am I supposed to do? He says, buy the best of 5 Raymond suits, buy 7 ties, and you should be spick and span in your dressing and all that, because that makes the first impression. I said, okay, fine. It was good that he spelt it across in the very first day. And after that, of course, I strengthened these areas also, which was required, because I was going to hop to a multinational after that. So this grooming also was a part of growing up. And again, very challenging things were done in Lupin also. We strengthened the portfolio of tuberculosis. We strengthened the portfolio of inhalation, and the company had about 100 registrations in the US after I joined. So that's 100 products in the market is quite a big beginning for a company. And thereafter, I was responsible for helping them in setting up the Baltimore office for all the regulatory work. And they took off from there, and smiling face after that. I have a good memory about and a good reciprocation about all the companies that I worked. So this was one of them. Now you asked me about my hobbies.
Right.
From school days, I was in a school called Stanislaus, which is in Bandra.
Okay.
So that's a wonderful school. There are 5 playgrounds, a swimming pool, and a gymnasium. Okay. Very very few schools had that, but I was privileged. And right from I was in Shivaji Park from the 5th standard. From 5th standard right up to the SSC, that is 11th. The school grooming was very important for me. Absolutely. And again, small traits in leadership start at that level, I think. When there was any function of the school, I was made the leader of that small group. When there was a physical training PT class, I was leading the parade. So that gives you that little fire in you, right, to not be introspective or
public speaking and
speak
opening
public,
up,
all those things,
handling
all the things.
crowd,
And then you, yeah, then came an interesting part. Then after did my SSC, I went to Ruya College. Obviously, I told you that one of the best colleges that one can look at. I was a sportsman myself. I was the sports secretary of the college also while I was in the graduation. Right. And our college had won that time the cricket trophy with all the Indian players who are now there. They were in the team there. Right. Chandrakant Pandit, Shirsagar, Raju Kulkarni, these were playing for India. Okay. So I learned the art of being a good manager as well. The administrative skills I developed and how to motivate team to win. Right. And we won. We won in cricket. We won in basketball. We won in handball. We won in other sports as well. 7 trophies in that year. Wow. And that told me, yes, if you apply your mind to anything and you keep yourself engaged, many things you can learn. So that was a good learning in Ruya College. The climax of my career was getting the Best Student of the Year award. That was called as the Yamuna Bai Hirlekar Award from college. And I had also the second one after 2 years for my research. And Zandu Trophy was won by me for research because I had about close to 20 papers published in my thesis. Wow. So that was something important for me also. Landmarks, as you call it, that gave me enough courage to go to the industry. And as I told you, After that was the Cipla innings.
Right.
Quite
So I
interesting.
remember that quote. It's in Hindi. If you know this, I'm sure you know it. Honhar birwan ke ho cheekne par.
That's
So
true.
it's kind of really fitting you.
No, it is one event after the other. But
Right.
what is important is when did I become a eloquent speaker and uh, person delivering talks and all that? That was when I was in the Ria College for my. I was a Senate member of Bombay University. I was
Right.
chosen. There is 120 colleges from that. They have a students executive union. It's like a ministry.
Okay.
Okay, I had the portfolio of sports for Bombay University with me, and again, out of these 16, two were elected for the Senate, and I was one of the two. So
Okay.
in Senate, you have to present your college's plans.
Okay.
Now they wanted autonomy for the college. They didn't want it to be with other colleges which are of low names. So they
Right.
wanted it to be a center of excellence.
Right.
So they wanted autonomy. It was in during this time that I gave the presentation in Bombay University for autonomy, and we did get and the autonomy. Today also it's an autonomous college. So
Okay.
these small tick-offs, were very important. And doing odd things also was something that was challenging. For example, I was not a pharmacy graduate. I was a chemistry graduate with analytical background. So all to lead a pharmacy R&D, not easy. I had
Right.
to read a lot, and do a lot of penance to understand. Now there was some tests, for example, I'll tell you. You know the Voveran cream which you are
Yes.
using.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
That's painkiller, I think, right?
it was old. Voveran was the diclofenac cream.
Right.
So
Right.
that is used for any sprains and all that. So
Right.
that cream you had to do a study for Africa. And the
Right.
study was this. The study was called a skin penetration test.
Okay.
So it's a surprising test. There's a machine called Valia Chan cell,
Okay.
and you have to take dead skin of human beings,
Oh.
put it in that aperture there,
Okay.
and then there will be a stirrer with the cream there,
Uh-huh.
and how much of that cream goes across the skin to be effective. This is like an in vitro test.
Okay.
I had to set up that Valiation cell. I had to go to all the hospitals and get burnt skin. Burnt victims, their skin used to be, you required
A
only
few
small
of
piece
that.
of it.
Yes.
So I used to send my other PhD to sit in the line and get that small piece of skin, then do the studies on that. And then that study after 3 months was submitted to South Africa in the dossier and all that. Got the permission and all that. But all this was new and exciting.
Right.
But you could give up also, but you have to be
You
tough to
can just
say,
yes.
no, 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 I won't leave it halfway. Let me do it. And the other thing was, the other thing which I wanted to tell was when you are in a company that is generic like Cipla and you take on the products of a big giant like Glaxo,
Right.
I was always having palpitation in my heart. I'll tell you why. Because they had a good mechanism to do a post-mortem on their competition.
Right.
Much sophisticated instruments, much better technology. So we at our level were chance bhi phuk ke pite hai na. So we used to be very careful. So we used to do a very careful study of the innovator's product. For example, if I had a HIV drug, this is
Right.
very important for, why, probably you know that Dr. Hamid got an award. Award means recognition worldwide,
Right.
that he gave HIV medicines at $1 per day to the African nation, where 30% of the population which were dying was saved.
Right.
But the important thing is that even that $1 was paid by other people
Right.
as a generosity for the. But the point is that he could save where the cost of other multinational companies was $1,500 per month.
Right.
The person was surviving on $30 a month. That also paid by Bill Gates and others.
Right.
So this was something which was once in your lifetime you do something like that. 67 products for HIV by one person,
Wow.
and that too at that price. So it's like great humanitarian service.
Absolutely.
And that's why he got many recognitions, and one of them is his statue is there in the Cambridge University.
Right. This is why the
And
company is how it is right
that
now,
is
right?
that's why from great seeds grow mighty oaks.
Absolutely.
So he's one of them, sort of. So today
Absolutely.
also he's an example for anybody in the industry.
Okay, but did you kind of always knew that you are going to be in the pharmaceutical industry?
Well, what happened is at InterScience, I missed my medicine by 2%. by a couple of marks only.
Okay.
So then was a challenging part of my life. I went and joined junior BSc, as you call it. We had
Okay.
junior BSc and senior BSc. So while I joined for the BSc, I thought the studies were not that important, honestly. So my father told me, now you're going to go to with your friends and loiter around, and going to have some fun. But I have something else for you. So my father was a businessman. So he had a shop. We had a shop, which is still there. He was an expert in television makeup, and he was an expert in making hair wigs and cosmetics.
Okay.
And cosmetics for the theater and the film.
Okay.
So that brand is of course a big brand today also. It's called Stars Cosmetics.
Okay.
So he told me, now you're okay, now your inter science is over. Now you're not going for medicine. So come on, join me in business. So here I'm wondering, that that bunking up from the college, going and seeing the movies, matinee movies and all, gone. So I had to. You told me he bought two shops, and one was at Happy Home at Century Bazaar,
Okay.
Happy Home at Worli. So I was selling hair wigs, I was selling cosmetics, and I was selling jewelry
Okay.
in the three shops.
Wow.
So writing the accounts, doing the purchasing, giving the salaries to the staff, all that for almost 4 years I was doing that.
Okay.
And that was as a support to father, because depending on
Yes.
one shop at which he was running, I thought it may be better to support him from
Support
that
him.
end. And
Yeah.
again, my father was a very adventurous person also. He did, because he used to meet all the film and drama people, Marathi drama particularly. They were all his friends. So people, famous people like Satish Dubashi and all that. And he said, okay, I'll venture into making a film.
Okay.
So he took a big risk and made a film in 1980, and it was a Marathi movie called Ran Pakra.
Okay.
It was a award-winning movie for awards, but not in terms of money, because the distributor, he would go and exhibit anywhere and collect the money, but never tell us what happened. So my father really started scratching his head when the outcome of the movie was financially not so great. So that's where we had to, all three brothers, we had to again pull up our socks and help father. That was the period.
Okay.
But then things got nullified, and then I
Go back
said,
on track.
that being in business probably was a good idea, but not all three brothers. So I moved away to the pharmaceutical job. Now your question was, why? How
Yeah,
did I move
please.
into pharma? So by
This
that
is
time I
how.
completed my master's degree and I got an admission for PhD. And so my father said, now I've waited until you became a BSc and now you have completed your BSc. So now come and sit in the shop. I'm getting old. So I said, Papa, one thing has happened, the college team has only 4 players for basketball. They require 5. So they're giving me the admission for MSc. So I said, but then what? I said that by October or so, the tournaments are not over. Then I'll be free. Then I may not continue there. But I went there and I got a first rank in the university for
Okay.
the for the MSc.
What did you say?
So then I said, Papa, since it's first class, why not finish on a good note, by doing the second part? And I'll come to the shop and I'll in middle time and be with you. I got one more year of extension. I completed master's degree with again a rank and a UG scholarship.
Okay.
Now I go to him with a poker face and said, I got a scholarship. I don't know what to do. Then I said, let me use an emotional card now. This is where in life you have to be smart. I said, look here, you told me you had an ambition in your whole family that somebody should become a doctor, somebody should become something great. I have this opportunity. See, this scholarship is here. Now, if you said no, I'll sit in the shop, but you are not doing a good justice to yourself. He said, what do you mean? I said, the second brother is going to do commerce from Poddar College. He will be more utility to you for business.
Business.
And I'm science person. I think I can take a crack at doing something in this field. PhD का admission मिल गया, करने को दे दिया हमको, 2 बरस में PhD complete किया. I did that, and after that came another third test. I went with 2 appointment letters, one from US Vitamin and one from Cipla. Says, Papa, I got a job. So job? I thought you're going to help me and work with me now. I said, no, what I'll do is, I'll do my job and your cosmetic manufacturing, I'll set up your whole factory and give you. And make it so easy that you can run it and anybody else can run it.
Right.
So we have a Pharma, we have a place at Alibag where
Okay.
we have a cosmetic factory. So I
Okay.
set it up for him, and
Wow.
now it's a big business.
You must
My
be
third
really so
brother,
proud of you.
Dr. Vishesh, does that, and it's a booming business in film and cosmetics. Film and television cosmetics. So
Okay.
that was one of the part of interesting part. All these things put together, make you a different person, sort of. So
No,
there
absolutely.
was there was activity, there was some thrill in every part of life. So
You told me about your journey, your in your career, but and also you told me about that means how your formation years in the college actually add on value. Even in school as well, you were leading
yeah.
like a prefect also several times. Tell me something that means what according to you those people who are very recently stepping into the roles and coming out of the comfort zone. Let's say that means they have not started in their formation years itself to grow those kind of habits, but they want to cultivate them now. So, what do you think they should be doing?
Yeah, see, look, the avenues today for personal growth are about maybe 20 times better than what I was having. Only thing is, I think you can't come from Harvard School and sit in a company and become a director.
Right.
You need to know the nuances of the job you are doing, or of the responsibilities you are doing. So, in my case, it was like a beginning from the ground floor with each
Right.
step going up.
With you being a doctor.
Being a doctor as
Right.
well.
There's
So,
yeah.
the self learning is a very important part of it.
This is very
Spoon
important.
feeding from any institute or taking 20 degrees, like some people brag about it, doesn't make sense. It's a degree which you earn by your hard work, a dint of dedication, and that makes a lot of difference.
You have to prove your metal here now.
You have to, at every stage. I think at my time, competition was there,
Right.
but the rate of redundancy is one thing that I would caution the generation of today.
Right.
There are, every time there used to be, for example, 2,000 postgraduates coming out every year. Today there are about 10 times more.
Right.
So the competition is obviously much more.
Right.
And I think what is important is you should be clinging on to what is the recent knowledge that is required.
Right.
Data management,
Keep yourself up
all
to
the
date.
management aspects which are your market intelligence, that is important. What's happening should be known to the person. And that artificial intelligence is playing a big havoc and role in industry. I mean, in research, in other things, doing things, the fast turnover of things, and the smart way of working. All these are the word. Now, I hear that IT and other sectors, the boys are working very hard. Okay, working hard means what? Going in the morning at 11 and then when coming back at 11 at night. But what is life? I do not know how it is life,
Yeah.
because I remember going and seeing some place, watching some movies, going out for picnics. All this is a part of life. That
Right.
should not be compromised. Family life should not be
Absolutely.
compromised. And that is the fear I have of burnout with the younger generation.
Yeah.
They should not burn themselves out. And again, the ambition is so high that to reach there also, the effort is tremendous.
Right.
So I think work-life balance is very important.
Absolutely.
And I enjoyed that. Every year I used to take a vacation, get refreshed again. So that is part of life. So,
Right.
and then again, now today I'm enjoying the other part, that I'm imparting knowledge to people. I'm in different forums. I'm chairman and chairman of IDMA's technical committee, where I set up many conferences. During my tenure at Cipla, as well as with other companies, was a speakers internationally. Also, I have spoken on different subjects.
Right.
In UK, I have spoken on inhalation and other products. On quality, I have spoken. My biggest achievement was you have to daydream to reach your objective. I used to think that United States Pharmacopeia is a thick book of standards,
Right.
of quality standards for medicines. So whenever I used to read that, I felt somewhere I must make a beginning in this field also. The world's best standards of medicine are in this book. So I must do something about it. Way back, I think my wishful thinking always was appreciated by God. I got an opportunity to write a first monograph, standard monograph for a asthma drug called salbutamol.
Wow. Okay.
So in 1984, I wrote this monograph and sent it to USP.
Okay.
It was called as albuterol sulfate,
Okay.
And there was this lady who was probably 75 or 80 in USP, very learned lady. Fatima Johnson was her name.
Okay.
She wrote a very appreciative letter. He said, Vinay, you have written such a fantastic monographs. We are including this in the Pharmacopeia, and my name was in the contributors list in the
Wow.
Pharmacopeia. Now, these
Really?
small incidents, they add to your confidence.
Right.
After that, in 84, 85, I was asked by Indian Pharmacopeia to join their group.
Right.
So I wrote the first monograph was for a company, for a product called oral rehydration salts
Right.
or electral. I wrote the standards for that, and from there, I never looked back till today. I'm writing monographs and helping Indian Pharmacopeia. It's
Wow.
30 years now.
Wow. So in a way, what you said is that the recipe for being, towards the leadership role is one, you need to put your entire academic qualification aside before you start learning in a company.
Yeah.
And two, you need to be open to learn always. Three, like you said, work-life balance and not stop having fun. This is very, very important.
Sure.
And fourth is, like you told me, that means always take the opportunity when you get it. You
Yeah.
got the opportunity to put that in that
I always
USP,
say,
and you did.
yes, I always say there's one life and one opportunity, never miss it.
Absolutely.
And I truly believed in that. So, but as I said, no, when I talked to you about Fatima Johnson and USP, that didn't stop me there. I said, what is this USP about? So the monographs in that USP were given by the brand leaders
Okay.
or innovators.
Right.
Then I said, I am not in the innovators list. I am in the generic list. So after a product is out of patents after 17, 18 years, then it becomes a generic product and 20 other companies will manufacture it. But remember, what was the quality of the product 17 years back and what it has to be today is a vast difference.
Very big difference.
And therefore, I gave a talk. I went to USP in 1990 and gave a talk for an hour and a half in USP office at Washington. And I said, USP should be for generic pharma industry, which is going to grow 10 times than the branded one. And today, exactly the same thing has happened.
Oh, it
And
is.
I am sure that about close to 100 Indian scientists are now working with the USP.
Wow.
And their offices in Hyderabad. So what I spoke there in their meeting in 1990 is a reality in practice over here today.
Right. See,
So,
what you tell is also not enough if they're implementing, and that is the plus point. They
correct.
implemented it as well, and they understood that feedback's
Yeah,
importance.
it says it always says that you have to look in the crystal ball to know what is coming tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So this was one of the things that I thought, India's progress has happened because of these little initiatives that have materialized or fructified, sort of.
So when you say manage your work-life balance and do not stop having fun. So tell me, because I understand that your career and you moved up the ladder as you go, and you were always busy, and you have worked. Every time I hear from anybody at all, they tell us about your contribution towards the industry. I remember how proud jury was that they are awarding you the Lifetime Achievement Award. How were you managing, and what kind of suggestions you want to give to the current generation, how to manage the work-life balance?
I can give you a wonderful example, As I said to you earlier, R.S. Iyer was the consultant, for us. And he came, he was vice president in Glaxo. So, cultural change, I'll tell you.
Right.
He used to sit in the office, which is vice president's office. He'll probably go through some the details, get some information about what's going on in the lab, this, that. But our generation was different. He started coming and guiding us. And apparently, at lunchtime, I would be moving around towards the cafeteria with a group of boys. Some of them putting their hand on my shoulder. He got a shock of his life. Says, "You are the senior most person in the company, and the guy puts a hand on your shoulder. How the hell? This is not a culture." I said, "Wait, sir. Times have changed. Could you believe me?" So what is it? I said, "Because they keep their hand on the shoulder, I know many more things than sitting in the cabin." I know what's happening in all the 21 locations, who is a culprit, who is who is a good learner, who is a fast learner, who is pulling down the progress of the group, who is agitating without reason. All these things I come to know. At your time, how are you going to know this? See, I never realized this. I said, when I'm in the office, when I'm in the workplace, in the lab, nobody can put a hand on my shoulder. No. But when it is, I go for picnics with them. We have a lot of fun and frolic every day after the work is over. But that doesn't, these two personalities you have to keep separate. Oh, I agree with you. So the answer for you is even people like Rajiv Desai, Dr. Pramod Dalvi, Anthony Gomes. These are some names I want to take because they've done a yeoman's
Brilliant
job with
people,
me.
indeed.
And these are today the top quality executives in the industry. They all were good learners also. And
Yes.
as I said, I would never throw tantrums at them,
Right.
but I would make them sit down and realize what is expected for them to reach there. For example, you spoke about somebody who worked 30 years and became a president just now. Okay,
Right.
she would, whenever there was pressure on any projects and all in R&D, she would get into tears. No, this is too much for me. I said, no, it's not too much. You are one of the three leaders and managing 30% of the research work. Other two are there doing 30%. Tomorrow you have to do the 100% of this and maybe 2x of it.
Right.
At that time, how will you survive if you break down like this? Then she'll wipe her tears and say, "You're right."
Oh.
And then whenever she met me after at the
Right.
conference, I said, "Was I right in that?" He said, "Yeah."
So sweet of her. But
Yeah.
means zero attitude. I think anyone who's trained by you, they are all very neat and that way.
They're
No attitude, no
self-made also. They're
arrogance.
self-made also and tough.
Very
They're tough
down to
also.
earth
Huh?
people.
No sissy guy I got in my group.
How did you maintain this humility after receiving all of this?
I think it's about energy flow, and energy flow happens when your intent is very clear.
Yes.
Now, it is told that in a month's time you are having an inspection happening. I would be myself sitting in the lab up to 2 o'clock at night,
Right.
going through all the 3,000 papers that has to be seen.
Right.
And I knew exactly where the pitfall is.
Right.
So during inspections, I knew how to avoid pitfalls.
Right.
So these are the kind of, now it doesn't happen by giving a sermon,
Right.
going home and sleeping at 9 o'clock and those guys
Yeah.
are in the lab for up to 11 o'clock. No, when they see the
Need to be with
head
your
who
team.
is sitting there and his intention is that we should go through with flying colors. So several certain phrases which I used to always use for them, it says,
I agree with you. I remember when I used to work as an employee, I used to see my bosses coming in late, and they were also employees. It's not like that it
yeah,
was their own company, but they were always coming in late. And we used to be like, that means how can they be late? Because I'm a daughter of a military man, right?
yeah.
So timing is a discipline
Oh
of
yeah,
time is
oh yeah.
everything for me. So I used to wonder that means they are expecting everybody else to come on time, leave on
Mm.
time. They're coming in late and going when they
Yeah.
want. So when we started the company, I decided that Guneet, that's not what you ever are going to become. So you need to make sure that if you're asking your team to be on time and leave
Absolutely.
on time, you need to be on time as well. After doing work for a while, I realized that the meetings that I have after everyone leaves goes on till 2 a.m. at night as well. But I'm still usually the first one to come to work,
That's right.
even till date.
That's the culture and that's the discipline which
So it takes
I
an
was also
effort.
an NCC cadet.
See, now you
So
know, right? See
so
how
discipline I
timing
know.
is very
Now if
particular.
you are late, then you have to hold that gun and go around the whole Hindu colony. You have to run 3 times.
Absolutely.
So that fear was there.
At our home, we never used to get breakfast after 9 o'clock. If you
No,
don't make it to
bun.
the table, my mother will not put the
Yeah,
breakfast for
that's
you.
it. There is there was one phrase I used to use for my colleagues. It says, "People do not what you expect, but that which you inspect,
Yeah.
provided you do it with respect."
Wow. Very. Could you say that again?
People do not what you expect, but that which you inspect, provided you do it with respect.
Wow. Very
And
beautiful. I'm gonna use it.
this phrase I used to always write on a placard in our, and that inculcates the manager, his senior executives down the line also. And again, having a little bit of compassion is also important.
Right.
There are times when things are beyond control, and then you have to manage the show. For example, couple of incidents in career also happen. Somebody dies,
Right.
and then things get worked up. How to calm the thing,
Right.
that's also important. That
To
those
support
also
your
when
people in the
those are also
bereavement.
experiences that you require to do to
Right.
stand up in adverse situation. No,
Right.
that's very difficult. That's also important.
Right. So in a way, that means it's very important to work on the emotional quotient as well.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So generally, leaders with high EQ are successful in industry. I mean, I have got one of my bosses, Satish Khanna, who was in Lupin. You must meet him also. Great guy. Great guy. He's the author of so many books and all that. But as a executive of the company, it's fantastic.
Right.
So
Right.
EQ being high, he was an example.
Right. So I have actually watched this movie as well. It just skipped my mind of the name of the. I will send it to you in private.
Yeah.
So in that, so he does a test for people for hiring, that IQ test and EQ test. So the best people in IQ test, he normally used to put them in the technical area, and people with the EQ, he used to put them in the leadership area.
Okay.
And I understood that later, because it's like, that means, you feel that this is very odd. That means he's not even trying to understand that if this person can do the job, EQ is not enough. How will he know that if the person is willing to learn what they are doing or not? But then in the end, the picture is very beautiful.
Clear.
Then it explains that why was he doing it, and everything starts making sense when the things start falling apart, and then they realize that, okay, removing him from the system was the worst thing, because his way of hiring was the best.
Yeah.
I think it's something, movies on hiring itself.
Okay.
Something on recruit.
I'll watch the movie.
Yes. I will send you the name of the movie.
Sure. I wanted to then again compliment you with one more story on the basis of what just you told me.
Right.
Now remember, whenever there's many people leave, one of the problems for pharma industry is also huge changes. Quickly they leave the job within, unlike before where people are there for 3 to 5 years. Sometimes some people work for 6 months, one year, and then they leave the job. So then there is a hurry. Sir, what is happening? HR, give me people. I want 20 people. So okay, now when 20 people come, the pending jobs of the people who are left, not the dirty job as you call it, washing the dirty linen, is given to these young people again who are joined. They're bright MSCs and all that. Huh? They are given this job to do the spade work of dirty work. I saw this happening too many times, and then I had something else in mind. I said no. I called HR and said no. I'll show you an exercise now, as a manager, as to how to deal with these youngsters. They are the huge potential for tomorrow, and if we are going to do this kind of management of those, first, and if you give them read this manual, 1,000 pages, man. How many days he'll read? He used to literally he'll be sitting in the library yawning. So no. You got a fresh batch of 20 M masters, MSCs or M farms.
Right.
I'll say okay, let's play a game. We'll call it aptitude mapping. HR guy, this bugger is mad. What is he talking about? I said, I want to do an exercise of aptitude mapping. What is it? Send all the 20 people now in different departments in groups of 4 and 5.
Okay.
1 week they'll be in quality control. 1 week they'll be in manufacturing. 1 week in packaging. 1 week in engineering. You will not believe it. From the observations of those kids, new ones, one guy goes no, and he says on the packing, hey, this is the wrong way of handling the belt. If this is done, the productivity will be much better. The other guy says, no. This blending time has to be different because it is not achieving homogeneity. So each one in that area, in quality control, manufacturing, they give their ideas. I said, here it is. The best people for quality are here. The best people for manufacturing are here.
Right. So this is exactly
this is
the
aptitude
kind of rule.
mapping. But you got to have a defined program
Right.
to
To
evaluate.
identify it.
And then you find that you don't have to look at them after that. You find them rising.
Right.
Because they have chosen something that they like and their mind is
Fixated
involved
on
in that.
particular, yes,
Involved in that.
right.
So, as you said about EQ and IQ, this is also important in pharma
plays an
industry.
important role. Yes,
You
yes.
know, you have to have a right mapping of the people, you know. So,
Right. And I know means we are a bit behind time. And before I ask you the last question, one additional question can I answer,
oh,
ask you?
most welcome.
Okay. So normally we always have an advice for the students and the people who are the aspiring leaders. But in our entire conversation, a lot of conversation led in that direction. I want you to help us with an advice on the young businesses as well, please.
Well, uh, I would say that there are many newer avenues which have sprung up, and I'm actually regretting having been born so many years before. In fact, today is the day where opportunities are in plenty,
Right.
and newer areas are mushrooming. India was a different country 40 years back, and India is a different economy and country today. Our kids are, most brilliant kids are in India and abroad also for taking higher education and exposure.
Right.
And I think the youngsters have a world of a chance, because today a kid from India is not an ordinary kid or a duffer kid. He is a kid with brains. Take it from chess championship to cricket to any other field, our youngsters are excelling. So
Extremely.
I think the ground has been laid for people to succeed. There are good matrices, good opportunities, good training centers, good people to guide also, where they have a bright future.
Right.
Competition will always be there, but then if you are one of those who have grasped some unique talent, you will never look back. I think the world is, when you see even kids of 7 years singing on a program, live program, your your heart goes full of joy to see that,
Right.
because something which is not expected at the age of 7 is happening. A child wins a singing competition at the age of 7. So these are small things that are happening in our country. You know, in the field of arts, science, every field, you know, there is a lot of quick learning, and
Right.
that is because the knowledge of the previous generations is available as a capsule. You have to swallow it and build on that knowledge, and
Absolutely.
that is something that is happening, and I'm glad to see that. No,
Right. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much
pleasure,
for
pleasure.
that.
The pleasure is mine.
And my last question for you is any advice that you would like to give to those kids who have not started their career yet? Like you said, that means, once they acquire a particular degree, do not sit on that proud. You work for it. But apart from that, means what kind of mistakes you think that means anyone who starts a career in the companies do and how they can overcome those problems?
Well, I think every kid has a period in life where he is not sure of what to do.
Right.
I think one advice I would always give is be close to the people who are influential.
Right.
Read books about the people who make history. Read about those people who came up through hard work, whether it's an Albert Einstein or anybody else also, or a Dr. Mashelkar of India.
Right.
The way they have come up, they were in very modest beginnings in life.
Right.
So always be influenced by, you should have a monitor whom
Right.
to follow.
Yes.
And once you have an idol to follow, you will not fall back. Dr. Abdul Kalam was an example also.
Absolutely.
Moderate beginnings in life, but going towards the sky in their career. So you need to have an idol, and you have to make a plan for yourself. And that can be anything. It can be a simple playing of a flute also, to being the best footballer in the world. You have to have an idol, and you have to have a mindset to reach where you have to go. And
Absolutely.
that I think should be possible.
Absolutely.
And again, where it involves a career, you have all the options available. Earlier there was no option. When we were small, we were standing in front of our uncles. क्या बनेगा? I'll become a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. बस खत्म. Today there are there are 20,000 other
Different, yes,
So
opportunities.
that's how you know.
All right. Sometimes I feel it has confused people more though.
Yeah, that's true. And this how kids are smart. I'll tell you. My granddaughter, I said one of our family friends. She's excellent in making cakes. So, what would you call? My wife asked her, "What would you call her?" So she didn't give the answer. She says, "I'll tell you. She's a baker." Huh? She's a baker, is it? This one looked angrily at her and said, "No, she's not a baker. She's a cake designer."
Okay.
See,
I don't bake the cakes, I design the cakes. Makes
designer means
sense.
something higher up.
Right,
Baker means
exceptional.
like
Just bakes the cake.
just baking. So this is how the next generation is sharp, sort of.
Right, right. The skills are kind of divided into sub skills,
That's
and
correct.
then
That's
yes,
correct.
makes sense. Makes
So
sense.
they are witty in their way also. So obviously they are sharper. And
But I was really thank you, Dr. Nayak, that you made time, and this was a wonderful conversation. It never
my pleasure.
felt
My pleasure.
like this is an interview. It seems like that we are just talking over a cup of coffee.
Yes, you can bet on that. I like talking to people and sharing what a little bit of whatever I
That
have
I have
learned.
witnessed, that you have been so helpful
Yeah,
to guide everybody. I also have witnessed that you helping us and guiding. Thank you very much for all
pleasure
your
is mine,
contribution to the
and
industry.
my compliments to EBM for doing wonderful work in this field of pharmaceuticals, and keep up the good work, and whatever resources you want to help you, let me know. From my side, I'll definitely help you out.
Thank you, Dr. Nayak.
God
It
bless you.
really means a lot.
God
Thank you
bless you.
very much. So today we were with Dr. Nayak, and what do you think about this podcast? You can mention in the comments below, and also you can submit more questions. I will ask Dr. Nayak once again and get those answers for you. Thank you very much. See you in the next week.